Hi folks, welcome back. Hope you're not all tagged out because this is going to be another tag entry. Alan, the static traveller, has come up with a really interesting set of questions. Being the philosopher that he is, he's come up with a set of questions about the big issues, life and death. Thought it was very interesting, thought I'd have a go. So let's start. So first up, he wants us to show an album or a song about procreation or birth. I thought, well, let's go right back to the start. And this is Banco, the Italian prog band's 1972 album Darwin, which is a concept album about the beginning of life on Earth and its subsequent evolution. So that's for procreation and birth. Next up, a reminder of your school days. A lot of my memories of school aren't that great, I'm afraid, so I didn't want to dwell on that. But one good memory, which is associated with school, is that in 1975, when I was at grammar school, we organised a trip to Newcastle City Hall, to see a concert. And that concert was by Yes. And it was to promote this album, Relayer. This is when Patrick Moraz was in the band. Great concert, great event time. It was my first ever rock concert. And like I say, absolutely superb, despite the the way I ended up at the end of the night. But what happens on the bus stays on the bus. Next up, something to do with work. I've had two main sort of careers since leaving uni. First up was as a trainee accountant, but try as hard as I could, I couldn't find any concept albums or songs about accountancy. Someone's missing a trick there. It's got to be a popular subject matter. But I moved from accountancy into IT, so I thought I'd show this album, which I only have on CD, and that's Kraftwerk's 1981 album, Computer World, with It's More Fun to Compute. So that's work. Next up, something that reminds you of family. I don't really associate music and my family really, because my parents weren't into music particularly, and I didn't get into music until my sort of mid-teens really. So, but both of my parents were from northern Italy. My father from the Veneto, over where Venice is, and my mother from the province of Parma. So they did like some of the sort of the northern Italians traditional songs that they heard when they were growing up. So I've got this album by La Chiapparussa, Italian folk band, and on here they feature some of those traditional northern Italian folk songs. So this reminds me of my mum and dad. There you go. Next up is that other hardy perennial of life, money, or the lack of it. So for that, I've gone with the album Hard Cash. This was an album done by a number of the sort of stalwarts of the British folk scene at the time. and these songs were inspired by a BBC documentary. So you get people like Richard Thompson, Martin Carthy, June Tabor, the Watersons, all on here with doing various songs. Good album. So that's Money, or Hard Cash. Next up, one that we're all subject to, the passing of time. So I've gone for one of the most beautiful songs on that subject, and it's off this album by Fairport Convention on Half Breaking, and it's Sandy Denny's beautiful, gorgeous Who Knows Where the Time Goes. So that's the passing of time. Next up, food and drink. So for that, I've gone with this album by Steel Eye Span, Below the Salt. So on there you can see them all, various band members enjoying a feast. Below the Salt refers, I think, to the fact that in medieval times salt was a very expensive seasoning, and it was placed in a bowl at the center of the table. So if you were above the table, that's where the lords and ladies and their family sat. That's these lot. And below the salt would be the guests or the servants or the lesser people. Right, next, something that shows pastimes or recreation. I struggled a bit with this one. But for a lot of people, cooking is a pastime, a recreation, as well as a necessity. So I've gone with another Italian prog band, Premiata Forneria Marconi, and their live album recorded in the US in '74, which is titled Cook. Though I'm not sure I'd want to sample any of their cooking, going by the illustration on the cover. So that's cooking for a pastime or recreation. An album that makes you happy. I've gone for one that makes me laugh a lot, and that's the brilliant band, the Bonzos, or the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. And this is their compilation album, The History of the Bonzos. Brilliant band, superb songs, really funny. Well worth trying if you've never heard them. So that's something that makes you happy. Right, next up, show an album with a work of art on the cover. So I have gone, excuse me, for an album by the band Pearls Before Swine and their album One Nation Underground. And on the cover there we have a portion, I think, from the Hell panel of Hieronymus Bosch's Garden of Earthly Delights, also used on a Deep Purple cover. That's a great bit of artwork. That's it. Next up, a record you'd want played at your funeral. So I'm going to give you two entries here. One serious, one maybe a bit flippant. You'll have to guess which is which. Well, first up is the beautiful song Ripple, the Garcia Hunter song from the Grateful Dead's American Beauty album from 1970. Gorgeous song. As I'm getting, I probably will be getting cremated, I thought I'd have this being played.
I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you fire. I'll take you to burn. Fire. I'll take you to learn. I'll see you burn.
That should give people a shock. And finally, an album or a song that is about the meaning of life. Well, what do I know about the meaning of life? What does anybody really know? This is a struggle, but I'm going to show a pretty obvious album that could have been the answer to half of these questions. Individual songs on this album could have been answers. So that's Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd, which obviously has money, war, birth, madness, death. It covers the whole spectrum. So that's my entry. Thank you very much, Alan, for putting that together. That was really interesting. Hope to see you soon, and I hope to have a hope. Oh God, I can't talk tonight. I hope that quite a few of you jump on this tag, because it'll be really interesting to see other people's answers to these questions. Anyway, take care. Bye.